Good morning, everybody. It is November 19, 2025. I hope everybody's doing well. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading, and I hope you enjoy this original mini watercolor. And let's see who it's by. I don't remember. It is by Elise Abel, 2024. I like it a lot. And this is basically what's happening with See Something, Say Something. Welcome, newcomers. We have a lot of newcomers. My name is Lorraine. I moved from 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, a home I lived in for 30 years as original owner. I renovated it top to bottom, knowing that I was eventually going to sell my house and move to some rural community. But as I was doing that, my property was vandalized. I was asset stripped to the tune of over $300,000 in property damage. People who were working for me ended up working against me, stealing my clothing, my daughter's belongings, home break-ins, all compliments of your tax dollars. People have asked me, well, you know, who nominated you into the program? Well, it could have been any number of people, you know. People nominate people for revenge, for asset stripping, to get even if you're a whistleblower, if you piss somebody off. And we live in a society of narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths. We are breeding them. And actually, when I was in graduate school, and yes, I do have my master's in psychology, my undergraduate is in abnormal, deviant, and violent psychology with a concentration in addiction and addictive behaviors. And my master's degree is in health psychology, and I studied mostly the psychological patterns of disease and the negative side effects of medicating children diagnosed with ADHD. Another story for another day. So anyway, back in the day, back in Manalapan, New Jersey, I was completely asset stripped. I really didn't know what was going on. This was going on around 2011, 2012, and actually looking back, it was going back as far as 2009. I had the weirdest stuff happening to my house that didn't happen to anybody else's, but you know, you just chalk it up to some strange occurrence, right? It just happens. These things just happen. But it really became evident around 2012. So let's fast forward. I was on, well, yesterday, I was raking leaves because I knew it was going to rain, so I wanted to rake them, get them out of the culvert that was literally blocking the water flow into the county creek, and it looked so unnatural. I've been living here 6.5 years. I know the way my leaves fall. I know the way the trees fall. I know the way the branches fall. And this was carefully orchestrated to clog the flow of water. Which, by the way, less than a month ago, I had already completely burned everything in that area, burned all the leaves to clear the way for the next time we had rain. But lo and behold, yesterday I'm raking and raking all these leaves and it's totally stuffed up. But while I'm there, one of my perpetrator neighbors drives by in her big white Tahoe, you know, the one that makes a lot of noise, the big mouth. Well, she gets halfway down the county road, and I hear literally a crash. I do. I hear, like, she must have swerved into something. That's pretty much how she ended up in the county jail a couple of years ago. She's too busy photographing my property, too busy surveilling me to get her evidence to run to the county lawyer. Look what I found. Look what I got. I'm a little rat snitchy poo. That yes, she did bang into something. I don't know if it was deliberate or an accident. I didn't walk all the way down the county road to see if she deliberately damaged something on my property, but I will. But while I'm listening to her crash into whatever she did, and then stop, and then back out minutes later, I've just the song entered my mind. Oops, she did it again. So anyway, here on Quora, this showed up in my feed, And it was posted 4 years ago. So if you've got anything that you would like to add to this from 4 years ago, there are 71 comments. So now this is in the group Gangstalking Worldwide. And she posts, this is how it works, folks. Copy and paste it, not my words. A targeted individual is a law enforcement term that means, quote, targeted for an investigation, unquote. In other words, the targeted individual is a suspect who is under investigation by the FBI, which, by the way, in case you hear me call the FBI my favorite Bureau of Instigation, that's because that's basically what they do for a living. They instigate trouble to create crime, and it's called job security. Okay? So anyway, at some time in the targeted individual's life, someone turned them in as a suspect of a crime. The FBI has a special group of people who track suspects called Special Surveillance Group, or SSG for short. The Special Surveillance Group contacts police departments in the area of where the targeted individual is staying and warns them about a possible threat or suspect in the area. Now, this would make sense that this is what happens when I moved to Jackson County, Kentucky. A town at the time had 803 people. The last time I looked, it was like 793. People keep dying and leaving. And I'm going to be one of them that's going to be gone from here. I'm going to leave. So anyway, when I moved here, I had surveillance above me. In fact, I remember my either Federal Express or UPS guy, I was talking to him, and military planes were around my property. He turned to me, he says, you must be really important. So people around here notice these things. They're not dumb to what's going on around here because they're participants. They know. You know, in small towns, they don't keep their mouths shut. They don't keep secrets unless it's amongst themselves and their sick, depraved, lunatic families that engage in cult-like behavior while pretending on the surface to be upstanding citizens. So that would lend to, when you move somewhere else, why you're stalked again. Immediately, sometimes immediately. So this special surveillance group contacts police departments in the area of where the targeted individual is staying and warns them about a possible threat or suspect in the area. Yeah, like calling ahead to the local sheriff here. Hey, sheriff, this is former sheriff Hayes. Not Daniel. Paul Hayes. Hey, we got a almost 61-year-old woman moving into your neighborhood. She is a possible threat to national security. Can you keep an eye on her? And yes, and that would lend itself to why the sheriff visited me, like when I first moved here. He advised me that I should get a pew-pew. He advised me to get one. He said to get a dog. And each time I saw him, he would say the same thing, except for the last time. He said that I should get a husband. So I should get a gun, a dog, and a husband. Thanks for the advice. Anyway, so the SSG releases the name of the individual to the police department, which here, it's the sheriff's department. And in the state, it's the state troopers, the Kentucky State Police. And all first responders within 50 to 100-mile radius. That is huge. That's a large radius. So that would be all your fire departments, your EMS, and who knows what else. Well, first responders could be volunteers, right? That's when they start their own local investigation, like investigating who stuffed dead animals in my mailbox November 26, 2024, and it's still under investigation. But Daniel Isaacs, I know that you're up for running for sheriff next year. Guess what? I won't be voting for you. And I hope everybody sees that you're not protecting anything that goes on in this town. You and your family participate in stalking, harassment, along with the county lawyer who helps you falsify incident reports. Even if you want to produce an original. No. You're bought and sold by the county lawyer who tells you what to do. It's called Conspiracy Against Rights. Title 18, Section 241, 242. So anyway, that's when the locals start their own investigation. The SSG, meaning the Special Surveillance Group, is keeping track of the suspect via military aircraft drones, as well as ghosts who use their vehicles to keep track of the suspect. Oh, you mean the miniature, inhumane terrain team cloaking criminals? The ones that run in and out of my house knocking stuff all over the place? Those ghosts? The best way to keep track of a suspect is through the suspect's neighbors, who report to the police department when a suspect leaves his or her house. So that would tell you when I left my house to go rake leaves, and my sorry-ass neighbor in the white Tahoe that lives next door, who ended up in the county creek last year for driving under the influence. And yes, boys and girls, her photo is on, her jailbird photo is somewhere on my page here. So, oops, she did it again yesterday. She banged into something while photographing my property. It's so ridiculous, guys. It's just really, these people obsessed. They're addicted. Unbelievable. So, the best way to keep track of a suspect is through the suspect's neighbors who report to the police department when the suspect leaves his or her house. Another way is the wonderful invention that can let you play any game or watch any movie while texting your friends. That's right, the smartphone. With a warrant signed by a judge, and I'm going to add corrupt judge, a smartphone can be used by the police and the FBI to track suspects. And I know my phone is hacked because each time I try to upload a video, they intercept my keyboard. They prevent me from uploading. They actually prevented me from typing an email to a friend yesterday. So your smartphone can be used by police and the FBI, my favorite bureau of instigation. Go find those 800,000 missing children and stop harassing 67-year-old women, you stupid idiots. Most likely your house isn't bugged unless a law enforcement officer had a few hours alone in your house. And if that's the case, the surveillance equipment is set up with the electrical wiring of the house. And Weeping Willow, who has her own channel, has said that repeatedly. I have said that repeatedly, that you could even turn off your circuit breakers everywhere. They will piggyback onto the wiring in your house. To turn off the surveillance cameras, you have got to turn off the main power switch, which is not something I've done. I need to do that. But when you do that, you're turning off your heat, your electricity, your refrigerator, all that stuff. So now this is the kicker. If you happen to be a high-level target, military drone aircraft will appear over your home. Oh, that never happens to me. That happens like every day. It has two reasons for being there. One, to keep track of the suspect. Yeah, like, where am I going to go? And two, it's annoying as hell. It is annoying. But that's why we take evidence, right? We post it online. Now, a woman who is no longer with us, her name is Andrea Holman, and I've spoken to her. She was actually supposed to be on the show when I was moderating that former podcast for 2 years. She says, let me tell you, it goes a whole lot deeper than that. They drug you. They poison you. They use directed energy weapons, V2K, and the chemicals in my room. I can't drink my own tap water. smear campaigns, street theater, noise campaigns, stalking, harassing, death threats. Can't eat open foods in my own home. I could go on for days. That, my friend, is not an investigation. It's called flat-out murder in the end. And she's no longer with us, by the way. And how does the FBI and the whole state investigate you for? What? Forever. It's not just being investigated. If that were the case, I could handle that. They want T.I.'s dead. They won't stop until they take your life. It is not 50 to 100 miles. They followed me thousands of miles. They contact every state trooper in every state where I'm driving down the highway. So it goes a lot deeper than just being investigated. And investigated for what? For nothing. If you believe that, then I don't want to tell you. It's ridiculous. Now, on my channel, Karen Melton Stewart, retired NSA intelligence analyst, wrote an article in the activist post called, "How is this surveillance?" It's phenomenal, and it's on my channel, and if I remember, I can post a link to it. She was so astute in saying, okay, it's one thing to be surveilled. It's one thing for people to watch you. But they're not just surveilling you. They're breaking into your home, they're poisoning your food, filthying your house, harming your pets, poisoning your pets, stealing your pets, stealing things inside your house. Like last year, more than $7,000 of new items were stolen from inside my house. And every year, I send a letter itemizing everything that was stolen, vandalized on this property since the day I moved here in 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're working on 25. Have they done anything? No. But I am able to document it and prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that nothing about what happens on my property here that the former owner, Travis Sparks, owned is being investigated here in Jackson County, Kentucky. And if they're investigating me, well, it's been 6.5 years. What are you going to get on a 67-year-old woman and who lives in the middle of the nowhere taking care of cats? Oh, that's right. You've got to fabricate that my animals are a nuisance, while all you losers keep dumping pregnant cats on my property and then telling the local vet, Dr. Rebecca Caleb Wilson, to not take me as a client because I'm not friends with her friends. Fact. Recorded. Reported. So one person responds, is this not spending taxpayer dollars on an unnecessary program? I mean, unless they're using a black budget money, it just seems like a bunch of unhappy people who want others to be just as unhappy by taking the law into their own hands. Just saying. Sweetheart, I'm aware of what else they do. I've been trapped in this program for 7 going on 8 years. Now this is 4 years ago. And I know this woman. And actually she moved out of the country. She moved out of the country. This is a big operation and the perps are at the bottom of the food chain. They're nothing but little peons. I call them rat snitches. Yeah, the rat snitch that drove down and crashed into something yesterday. I have to go investigate to see what she crashed into yesterday. I don't know where this is all coming from, but you were so nice before, so what happened? You're reacting as if I've insulted you personally, and now everyone's mad at me. Oh yeah, I'm not going to go on to that. I am innocent. I'm still wondering what I've done. I do know one thing. I've just cleared 2 false arrest reports. Weird thing about that is, I wasn't even in the city when it happened. Then she goes and says, oh yeah, I've never even had a record. No mugshots, no handprints. And then one person responds, they want you bad. Okay, another person writes, well, according to Andrea Holtman, she said this post is BS, but I don't know. Stop looking at Facebook. It's totally wrong. So anyway, let's see what else, because now people are, okay, neighborhood mobbing has nothing to do with the FBI. It has a lot to do with pissing off someone in your community by calling them out on something they did against you in the first place. Well, when I moved here, I didn't know anyone. I think the first time I filed a police report here was after somebody broke into my house and stole clothing and my checkbook. That would have been in July 2019. Neighborhood mobbing has nothing to do with the FBI. It has a lot to do with pissing off someone in your community by calling them out on something they did against you in the first place. Well, that didn't happen for another year when my neighbor tore out the gate on my property. So yeah, so I was still being harassed and stalked for a whole year before I ever called somebody out. Some people have nothing better to do with their money and their time than to create havoc for someone they're clearly envious of for living a private and peaceful lifestyle. And in some cases, these people are criminals. They're afraid that you may be onto them. They're trying to scare you because they themselves are in fact the ones who are scared of you. And this is their way of keeping you quiet. Well, it hasn't worked. Scaring me and keeping me quiet so far has not worked. The cards and the games they play are simply a cover to try to confuse you. They're trying to manipulate your mind, and this type of behavior is narcissistic and could very well indicate that the leader may be a sociopath or even a psychopath. Oh, well, I can attest to that fact 10 times over. Do I have to name names? Nah, I'm not going to do that. But you all know by now who they are. They are trying to manipulate your mind. They try to mind your own business and don't let anyone know your business. If something is done against you that is illegal and you can prove it, make a police report immediately and record the report number. Well, I've done that already. And they falsify the reports. But according to ChatGPT, I have to press the issue and report them and press them and not threaten them. Tell them that they must provide me a corrected incident report with the truth. So try to stay away from social media of all types and put your faith and trust in God. Now, somebody else writes, the pussyfooting around by us has to stop. We have to show them that we mean business. And I'm not playing either, I mean it. You have to say what you mean and mean what you say, period. I don't have time to pay attention to these brainless perverts. I don't care who they are or what they own. I want their pensions because they don't deserve it, because they didn't work for it. Since the CV-19 began, everyone's been hyping up to support the frontline workers. Baloney! They're part of the problem. They're also behind our torments. Not all of them. I see those crazies acting weird around me, like they can't keep it together upon seeing me, laughing and being so cuckoo. We have enemies, so let's act like it. I've gotten a satisfaction out of this at times. Come on, come for them. I mean it. It works. Fight. I'm so over it. And this is by a guy. Another person says, BS. It has nothing to do with surveying a suspect. To tell the S. Stain who said what to jump in front of a train. Somebody says, this is more believable. But I live in Canada, and while I was using drugs in the past, I did not traffic drugs, nor did I commit theft or fraud to pay for my addiction. I got help and I no longer use drugs, which is the most confusing aspect of this. That is, unless my neighbor upstairs said that I was a pervert, which I'm not. Well, I'm not going to go, because this person is naming names, so I'm not going to do that. So anyway, the topic here was, 4 years ago, a targeted individual is a law enforcement term, which means targeted for an investigation. In other words, the targeted individual is a suspect who's under investigation by the FBI, and someone in the targeted individual's life, someone turned them in as a suspect of a crime. So I'm going to end on that note. I can't even imagine. There are so many people in New Jersey that were envious and jealous of me. The feral cat cartel. you know, that woman Maria in Barnegat, New Jersey, who's married to a retired cop. She absolutely did. She used to report me to the health director, to harass me and the cats. But anyway, if you know who in your life may have turned you in as a suspect of a crime, leave a comment down below. And if you believe what this individual wrote about how you are surveilled only because you're a possible threat or suspect in the area, leave a comment down below. Hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. And anybody that wants to donate a Chewy.com gift card to our cats, let me know. The link will be down below.